Welcome back to Captain Rook's Reading Corner. We're at the last chapter of Treasure Island, and some of us are luckier with treasure than others. But get you a nice warm drink and settle in and be comfortable for Chapter 18 and last. "Forward!" cried the doctor. "After 'em! They're headed to the boats." We set off, plunging through the bushes. I tell you, Silver was anxious to keep up with us. He leaped on his crutch till the muscles of his chest were fit to burst. From behind us he called out, "Doctor, see there! No hurry!" We could see the three men running right for Mizzenmast Hill. We were already between them and the boats, so we sat down to breathe. "Thank ye kindly, Doctor," Silver said, mopping his face. "You came in the nick of time for me and Hawkins." Then he added, "So it's you, Ben Gunn?" "I'm Ben Gunn, I am," replied the Maroon, wriggling like an eel. "And how do you do, Mr. Silver? Pretty well, I thank ye, says you." Ben," murmured Silver, "to think as you've done me." As we walked down to the boats, the doctor told us Ben Gunn's story, and what happened after he himself had gone to find Gunn that morning. Ben Gunn was the hero from beginning to end. In his long, lonely wanderings about the island, Gunn had found the skeleton and the treasure. He had dug it up and carried it on his back in many weary journeys, from the foot of the tall pine to a cave he had at the northeast of the island. There it was safely stored, and this he had told the doctor. When the doctor saw that the ship was no longer in the cove, thanks to me, he had gone to Silver to make a bargain. He asked that the pirates allow the squire's crew to leave the stockade in peace. In return, the doctor gave Silver the map, which was now useless, and promised food and supplies and medicine for the sick men. The bargain was made. My friends had left the stockade and headed to Ben Gunn's cave. The doctor had gotten Gray and Gunn to go with him to the site of the tall pine and the pit. Gunn ran ahead to stall his old shipmates, singing and calling out the words of Flint. Here's Gunn, carrying the treasure bit by bit. When we came to the jolly boats, we destroyed one and got aboard the other to row the 8 miles to North Inlet. We passed the mouth of Ben Gunn's cave and saw the squire waving to us. We all gave him 3 cheers, including Silver. 3 miles farther, what should we meet but the Hispaniola, afloat and drifting. As it was, she was in good shape, except for the mainsail. We attached another anchor and dropped it over. Then we rowed round near the cave and hiked up. The squire met us, glaring at Silver. "John Silver, I am told I am not to let you hang, but you're a monstrous villain and impostor." "Thank ye kindly, sir," replied Silver, saluting. The cave was a large, airy place, overhung with ferns. Captain Smollett lay before a nice fire. In a far corner lay great heaps of coins and stacks of gold bars. Flint's treasure. Later, I would help to pack the coins. It was a strange collection, much like the coins that Billy Bones had. English, French, Spanish, doubloons, and pieces of 8. They were round pieces, square pieces, and pieces with holes in the middle. Nearly every kind of money in the world, I think. Sadly, I thought of the 17 from our crew that had died for that treasure. What a meal I had with my friends that night, with salted goat and a bottle of old wine from the Hispaniola. Never were people brighter or happier. And there was Silver, joining in the laughter and lending a hand, just like in his sea-cook days. The next morning we began to cart the gold to the jolly boat. Gray and Gunn then made trips to the ship. Day after day this work went on, with no sign of the 3 pirates. On the 3rd night, the doctor and I heard their far-off singing. "Drunk," said Silver. "Malaria," said the doctor. A council was held, and it was decided that we must desert them on the island, to the huge glee, I must say, of Ben Gunn. We left a good stock of gunpowder and shot, most of the salted goat, a few medicines, some tools, clothing, a spare sail and rope. At last, one fine morning, we pulled up the anchor. High above flew the flag that the captain had flown and fought under at the stockade. Rounding the island, we saw something that grabbed our hearts. All three of the marooned men were kneeling with their arms raised, calling, "For God's sake, don't leave us to die in such a place." The doctor shouted out where we had left food and supplies. One leaped to his feet with a hoarse cry and sent a musket shot whistling over Silver's head and through the mainsail. That was, at least, the end of that. Before noon, to my joy, the highest rock of Treasure Island had sunk into the blue round sea. There's the men's last farewell. We all worked double shifts and safely sailed to Spanish America. The doctor, the squire, and I went ashore to the happy faces of the islanders and the wonderful sights and smells of tropical fruits. When we returned to the Hispaniola, Ben Gunn told us that Silver was gone. He'd gotten one of the sacks of coins and slipped away. I think we were all pleased to be so cheaply rid of him. Well, to make a long story short, we got a few new hands on board and reached Bristol just as Mr. Blanley was thinking of sending a rescue ship. All of us had a share of the treasure. Captain Smollett is now retired from the sea. Gray not only saved his money, but he is now part owner of a fine full-rigged ship, married besides, and the father of his family. As for Ben Gunn, he spent or lost his share in 3 weeks, so the squire gave him a gatekeeper's job. Folks make fun of his ways, but he has become a favourite singer in the church on Sundays. Of Silver, we have heard no more. That seafaring man with one leg has at last gone clean out of my life. I would guess he lives in comfort with the wife and his parrot, Captain Flint. For all I know, the rest of the silver bars and the weapons marked on the map still lie where Flint buried them. Certainly I will never look for them. Oxen and ropes would not bring me back to that cursed island. And the worst dreams I ever have are when I hear the surf booming about its coasts, a spring upright in bed with the sharp voice of Captain Flint still ringing in my ears. "Pieces of 8? Pieces of 8?" Still, it's a fine adventure to have had. And a fine treasure to be found. I hope you've enjoyed that story. If you like it, leave me a comment below. And maybe I'll see you next time at Captain Rook's Reading Corner.